They said no human could outshoot a Kethri marksman, but the first time Nova touched a rifle on orbital station Helios, 3 generals stopped laughing in the same second. The range sat on the station's outer ring, a long hollow cylinder lined with firing platforms and humming with grav stabilizers. Holographic terrain floated in the center, shifting canyons of light, phantom ruins, drifting asteroids. It always smelled faintly of ozone, gun oil, and wounded pride. Today, the pride scheduled for wounding mostly belonged to humanity. Dozens of Kethri lounged along the upper balconies, tall and elegant, for golden eyes gleaming with curiosity and condescension. Their sleek rifles lay across multi-jointed arms like extensions of their nervous systems. Stat boards hovered in the air, all topped with Kethri names and absurdly high accuracy scores. Near the very top, Commander Varesh, 193/200, station record. At the bottom, a fresh line glowed, Nova Reyes, species, human, role, civilian systems tech, status, challenger. Nova tried not to stare at that part. Her reflection wobbled in the transparent safety screen as she adjusted the borrowed rifle. It was Coalition standard, not one of the fancy crystalline Kethri weapons. The stock was a little too long for her shoulder. The sling strap kept sliding off her hoodie. She could feel eyes on her from every direction, like she was already under fire. Human, Commander Varesh said, the word coming out of his mandibles like a mild insult and a formal title at the same time. He stepped onto the platform opposite hers, ceremonial long rifle resting casually against one hip. You are certain you wish to proceed? Our trials are not beginner-friendly. Nova checked the magazine, more to give her hands something to do than from necessity. I heard the same thing about your sense of humor, sir. I'm still here. Low chittering rolled through the Kethri crowd. On the higher catwalk, a cluster of humans in oil-stained coveralls gathered, craning for a view. Someone raised a wrench like a flag of solidarity. Varesh's eyes narrowed in what might have been amusement. You believe you can break my record? I believe your programmers reuse movement patterns, Nova said. I just want to see by how much. That drew an audible hiss. Someone in the back muttered in Kethri, translation lagging a second behind in her earpiece. The mammal is confident. Or concussed. The station AI chimed with cheerful neutrality. Helios marksmanship trial initializing. Competitors, Commander Varesh, Nova Reyes. Scenario, dynamic urban canyon simulation. 200 targets. 3 minutes. Scoring weighted for accuracy, reaction time, and target prioritization. Current high score, 193. Nova's palms were damp. Her heartbeat felt too loud inside her helmet. She forced herself to breathe the way her father had taught her on a rusted cargo deck back on Ceres Station. In 2 beats. Hold 2 beats. Out 2 beats. The memory steadied her more than the air. Last chance to back out, murmured Rafi, her fellow human tech, over the private comm. We can still fake a sudden gravity failure. If I back out, you owe Varesh coffee for a week, Nova whispered. You really want that on your conscience? Fair point. Humanity rides with you, short stack. Holographic canyon walls shimmered into full opacity, stretching between the 2 platforms. Crosswinds appeared as faint silver lines. Target ghosts flickered at the edge of her HUD, not yet active but already crowding her peripheral vision. Her neural halo synced with the range, feeding her streams of data, projected trajectories, microgusts, line-of-sight warnings. Varesh settled into position in one smooth, terrifyingly efficient motion. 4 arms wrapped around his rifle in a posture that looked halfway between a monk's meditation and a spider preparing to strike. His breathing slowed until his vitals barely nudged the shared display. Nova knelt, braced the rifle, and let the numbers wash over her. Chaos, at first, then rhythm. Her brain, the same one that saw patterns in corrupted sensor logs and half-broken circuits, started to sort the noise. The drones would never be truly random. No designer trusted true randomness with their favorite leaderboard. 3. The AI intoned. 2. 1. The world lit up. Targets burst into existence. Hard-light drones diving between canyon spires, shielded units zigzagging along rooftops, decoys wearing friendly tags. Wind vectors flared. Warning glyphs flashed. Varesh's rifle thundered almost instantly, his first 3 shots landing with insulting calm. Nova did not fire. She watched. In the first second, she tracked which spawn points the simulation favored, how often a shielded drone popped after a decoy, where the friendlies threaded through danger. Her HUD became a messy constellation of mental notes. Then she began to move. She tagged 3 future spawn arcs, shifted her aim ahead and finally squeezed the trigger, smiling slightly. They didn't expect the human girl to keep up, but the moment Nova's first volley hit 4 targets before Varesh finished his 4th shot, the entire observation deck went silent in a way that felt physical, like someone had cut the station's gravity again. The drones accelerated. The simulation shifted to competitive escalation mode, a difficulty tier almost no one used because it was calibrated for species with 4 arms and a nervous system that handled parallel processing like breathing. Hard-light canyons tightened, rooftops sank and rose, and wind tunnels cut across her line of sight in cruel, taunting slants. The Kethri murmured as Varesh adjusted instantly, his limbs weaving around his rifle with the same elegant precision as before. He wasn't rattled. For him, this chaos was routine. For Nova, it was a moving puzzle begging to be solved. She pivoted, letting the rifle's kick glide into her shoulder instead of fighting it. She didn't have the Kethri's extra limbs or their infuriatingly stable physiology. What she had was pattern detection and the stubborn habit of breaking rules that didn't make sense. Her HUD flooded with warnings. She ignored all but 3, crosswind jets, turret arcs, and the micro-delays between drone spawns. Those delays mattered. She squeezed off a shot before the drone fully materialized, hitting it the millisecond the armor registered collision. Another target zipped upward, shielded, evasive, textbook. Waste your ammo on me. Bait. Nova didn't take the bait. She shifted left, aimed at the rooftop ridge where a harder-to-hit target usually followed. It appeared exactly on schedule. 1 clean shot. Rafi whooped in her ear. You're at 58 out of 60, 1 minute in. Varesh is looking at you like you just hacked his childhood. She didn't have time to smile. A sudden red flash signaled a new complication: environmental hazards. The canyon walls shook as simulated quakes rippled through the terrain. Dust storms swept the central corridor, scrambling visibility. Every factor was designed to ruin her aim, but Nova wasn't aiming where targets were. She aimed where they would be. Her father used to say humans weren't built to be the strongest or fastest species, just the one that refused to die when the universe threw nonsense at them. A drone blinked into existence half a second early. Sloppy, Nova thought. Lazy coding on that particular sequence. She fired mid-blink, catching it before its tracking subroutines finished loading. The Kethri near the railing erupted in a chorus of shocked chittering. Varesh, however, adjusted with the coolness of a glacier drifting into murder range. His shots didn't miss. His limbs moved like choreography. He tagged target after target in a fluid, terrifying rhythm. His score climbed close behind hers. Then the simulation escalated again. New hazard level, the AI announced. Autonomous counterfire activated. Oh, come on, Nova groaned. Turrets unfolded from the canyon walls, firing stun pulses at both competitors. Varesh flowed around the blasts like water. Nova threw herself sideways. A pulse grazed her sleeve, sizzling fabric. Another streaked past her helmet. She ducked behind a hollow boulder, breathing hard. Rafi yelled into her calm. You need to move! Those things lock on if you stay still! I know! She peeked over the projection. A turret rotated toward her, whirring maliciously. If she tried to return to her platform, she'd expose her entire torso. Logic said retreat. Experience said adaptation. She sprinted straight into the canyon. Gasps erupted around the range. Nobody ran into the middle. Too many angles, too many ambush points, too little time. But Nova wasn't looking for safety, she was looking for data. Her HUD blared alerts as she dodged between hard light rocks, sliding behind cover only long enough to shoot and dash again. 2 turrets turned toward her. 3 drones swooped overhead. She tracked their movement arcs and fired on the run, an incredibly stupid maneuver by Ketheri standards, but perfectly normal in a human childhood spent with half-broken practice pistols and siblings who thought being a moving target was fun. Her score jumped, 89. 90, 91. Varesh's voice entered the shared channel, smooth and lightly impressed. You are reckless, human. But efficient. Thanks, she panted. I think you will still lose. Bold of you to assume, she muttered, sliding under a descending drone and shooting upward, point blank. Her motion startled the projection algorithms, forcing them to rear-ender the pathing script. She caught 3 frames of glitching geometry, just enough to see the simulation's preferred spawn funnels behind the canyon. That was her opening. She bolted toward a narrow ledge, climbing atop it for a better vantage. The wind resistance simulated against her suit, tugging her balance. She stabilized the rifle, calculated timing, and unleashed a flurry of precision shots into those unseen funnels. Targets dropped before they'd even entered Varesh's field of view. Her score surged. 112, 113, 114. Varesh's accuracy remained impeccable, but his rhythm faltered barely, but enough for Nova to notice. His lower right arm tightened on the rifle. His breathing pattern shifted. He realized she had found something the simulation designers never intended. A new wave of drones erupted into the arena, faster, shielded, unpredictable. The AI seemed offended by her success. Drones zigzagged in erratic patterns, teleport hopping between micro-locations. Nova grinned. Oh, so now they're cheating. She adjusted again, letting instinct carry her when logic lagged behind. She fired through flickers, followed stuttering motion trails, and predicted positions based not on clean math but on the kind of intuition humans evolved under centuries of chaotic weather, faulty machinery, and animals that didn't behave like instruction manuals said they should. Her tally hit 150. Varesh hit 148. Only 50 targets remained. And the simulation had one last escalation waiting. The lights dimmed. Wind died. The canyon walls split open, revealing the final challenge, an open expanse with almost no cover. A sniper's nightmare. A Ketheri paradise. Nova swallowed hard. 3 minutes were almost up. One mistake would cost everything. And Varesh was no longer amused, he was focused. The moment the canyon walls peeled away and left them exposed in a vast, empty plain, every spectator leaned forward because they all knew this was where humans were supposed to lose. The Ketheri were born for open-range sniping, multi-angle vision, perfectly stabilized limbs, and targeting reflexes tuned by evolution itself. Humans preferred messy terrain and improvisation, not a blank battlefield where precision ruled. Varesh stepped onto the open expanse with the quiet confidence of someone coming home. Nova stepped onto it feeling like someone had stolen her roof. A cold simulated wind brushed across her cheek as the terrain flattened into a shimmering desert with no cover, no buildings, and no ledges. Just a smooth silver horizon and a faint atmospheric haze that made long-distance shots harder. The drones spawned at maximum range, each moving with calculated randomness and velocity curves designed to punish hesitation. Varesh raised his rifle. This final stage rewards discipline, human. Not chaos. Nova muttered. Good thing I'm great at disciplined chaos. The first drone shot across the plain in a blur, and Varesh's round hit it before Nova even brought her rifle fully up. His next 2 shots landed with equal ease. His accuracy ticked upward, closing the gap. He was hunting with the serene calm of a predator in perfect conditions. Nova fired late, too late. The drone vanished before her bullet crossed half the distance. Her score didn't move. She gritted her teeth. Okay. Not playing fair anymore. Wind vectors flickered across her HUD, subtle waves, fast gusts, micro-vortices forming ahead of each drone's movement arc. The distances were huge, forcing her to aim based on travel time and momentum, not instantaneous tracking. The Ketheri brains did this naturally. Humans needed calculus or insane intuition. Nova only had one of those. And it wasn't calculus. She inhaled. 3 beats. The world slowed. Her father's voice drifted back. Don't shoot the target. Shoot the world around it. She watched not the drones but the shimmering ripples in the air as their engines pushed through the simulated atmosphere. She noticed a faint brightening at the edges of their shields when they accelerated. She saw the tiniest drift of dust before they changed direction. Signs. Tells. Breadcrumbs. Varesh killed another drone. 149, then 150. Then 151. Nova refocused. A drone zipped left, too fast. But its exhaust trail bent a grain of dust 30 centimeters earlier than it should have. That meant it would correct upward. She didn't aim where it was or where it looked like it was going. She aimed at the space 3 meters above its projected curve. She fired. The drone flew straight into her bullet. The Ketheri crowd hissed sharply. Nova exhaled shakily. The next drone appeared. She read its turbulence and fired before her conscious brain fully processed the guess. Another hit. Score, 152. Varesh paused. Not in shock. Ketheri didn't do shock in the same dramatic way humans did, but in calculation. All 4 of his eyes shifted focus. Your technique. Guesswork, she said. A lie. Okay, intuitive physics. But mostly guesswork. They resumed firing. Drones swarmed in expanding arcs, some far, some close, some looping beneath the terrain's horizon line before rising in sudden bursts. Nova missed 2. Hit 3. Missed 1. Hit 4 in a row. Varesh hit almost everything. His advantage was growing. Rafi's voice crackled in her private calm, breathless. He's at 165. You're at 163. Nova, you can't let this guy outpace you now. I'm trying. No, don't try. Do the thing where you break the laws of software and physics. What does that even mean? It means be you. She swallowed a laugh and focused. The drones grew faster, more erratic. The AI was running the final 30-second burst, maximum difficulty. Targets flickered in and out, teleporting short distances in a manner that was borderline unfair. Varesh thrived. His limbs moved like a symphony. He hit every drone he fired at, no hesitation, no adjustment needed. His score climbed, 170. 171. 172. Nova hit 1. Missed the next. Hit 2 in a row. She could feel the edge slipping away. Her instincts were fast, but the simulation was accelerating beyond what intuition alone could handle. She needed leverage. An angle. An exploit. Something the simulation designers overlooked. She scanned the horizon, and then she saw it. A faint outline. A geometric seam in the sky where the rendering algorithm stitched 2 terrain layers together, creating a tiny but predictable delay when drones passed that boundary. A glitch. Barely visible unless you knew what rendering seams looked like. Nova smirked, adrenaline surging. Oh, you beautiful, lazy coding. She took position facing the seam. Drones crossing that point stuttered, not a huge glitch, barely a few frames, but enough. Enough for her to fire into the seam's future coordinates. A predictive exploit. The next drone hit the seam. Stuttered. She nailed it. Then another. Hit. Another. Hit. Her score leapt rapidly, 170. 171. 172. Tied with Varesh. The Ketheri erupted in outrage and awe. Varesh finally looked rattled. You are cheating. Nope, she said, firing again. Just adapting. His next bullet missed, just barely, as he tried to track a drone before it entered the glitch zone. He didn't understand what she found. She did. Her score shot to 175. Then 176. Varesh hit 174. 10 seconds left. The last drone spawned, faster, smaller, shielded, a nightmare of a target meant to break even elite marksmen. It darted away from the seam. Nova gasped. Her exploit wouldn't work. She had one shot. Varesh lined up confidently, all 4 eyes locked on the darting target. Nova steadied her breath, ignored the drone, and read the wind. 3 beats. 2. 1. She fired. Darkness flickered across the simulation. Time's up. A single chime echoed across the range. And one score began to climb higher than the other. For a breathless second, nobody knew who won. The holographic terrain dissolved, the wind stilled, and every drone vanished like dust swept off a screen. Only the scoreboard remained suspended in the air, its numbers frozen mid-update like they were holding their breath too. Nova's hands trembled on her rifle. Varesh stood utterly still, 4 eyes locked on the glowing display. The crowd didn't make a sound. Even the station's hum felt quieter, as if Helios itself wanted to know which species would leave with bragging rights carved into the annals of military embarrassment. The board flickered once. Then twice. Then the numbers finalized and pulsed in bright gold. Nova Reyes, 177. Commander Varesh, 176. A single point. 1 point. The observation deck exploded. Humans screamed. Ketheri hissed, chittered, or fell into stunned silence. Someone somewhere threw what sounded like a wrench in celebration. Rafi yelled so loudly in her comm channel that the system auto-muted him for noise violation. Nova didn't hear any of it at first. Her knees went weak as the tension drained out all at once. She braced herself on her rifle, staring at her name glowing at the top of the leaderboard, the highest score ever recorded on Helios Station, set by a human civilian tech wearing a hoodie with a ketchup stain on the cuff. Varesh approached slowly, like a creature unused to losing and equally unused to reacting. His posture wasn't angry. More like contemplative. His lower right hand twitched, Ketheri body language for deep, unsettled thought. He studied her for a long moment. "You exploited a rendering seam," he said finally. Nova nodded, still shaky. "Yeah. Sorry about that. I kind of see patterns when I'm stressed." "That is not an apology," Varesh observed. "Then good," she replied, forcing a smile. The commander clicked his mandibles in a sound halfway between irritation and admiration. "Your species confounds me." "Likewise," she said. The AI chimed brightly overhead. "Simulation concluded. Station record updated. Congratulations, Challenger Nova Reyes. Your neuroprofile has been added to the Helios Marksmanship archive for training purposes." "Great," Nova muttered. "Now I get to be homework." Rafi barged through the crowd, breathless and wild-eyed. "You won by 1 point. 1 single point. Nova, I swear you just rewrote the interspecies trash talk meta for the next decade. Please don't put that on a shirt," she said. "Oh, it's already on a shirt." Behind him, 3 human engineers were lifting a printed mock-up. Humans, 1 Ketheri, still mad about it. Varesh ignored them. He stepped closer, lowering his voice. "Human. Most species fail when deprived of structure. But you..." His eyes narrowed, thoughtful. "You thrive in disorder. You turn instability into weaponry." Nova shrugged. "I grew up on Ceres Station. The gravity went out every other Tuesday. You adapt or you float into a ceiling fan. This trait," Varesh said, "is dangerous." "Is that a compliment?" "In this context, yes." He extended one of his upper hands, a formal Ketheri gesture of respect. Nova shook it, hoping she was doing it right. He nodded once, sharply, as if marking the moment for some future record. "You won fairly," he said. "Even if your method was creative? Unorthodox," he corrected. "Chaotic. Mildly concerning. I'll take it." The Ketheri observers began to disperse, murmuring in disbelief. Some glanced at Nova like she was a weird new weapon they weren't sure should exist. Others simply looked impressed. Humans gathered around her, clapping her shoulder, shoving snacks at her, shouting over one another about historic victory, and Mandatory bragging rights. Nova finally managed to sit on the edge of the firing platform, legs dangling as the adrenaline faded. The rifle lay across her lap, warm from use. She watched the simulation chamber power down, plates sliding back into the walls. The arena looked harmless now, like a factory floor after closing. Hard to believe that 30 minutes ago it had been a battlefield. Rafi plopped down beside her. You know you're never living this down, right? Nope. You also know Varesh is going to train for a rematch. Oh yeah? And you're going to say yes? Definitely. She smiled tiredly. I mean, it's not every day you get to outshoot 4 eyes and 8 limbs with nothing but a glitch and nerve damage from childhood trampoline accidents. Rafi snorted. Humanity's finest. Nova leaned back on her palms. What do you think they'll say about this in the officer briefings? He grinned. Probably something like, humans are terrifying. Do not let them near broken software. She laughed, feeling the tension finally unclench. Good. They should put that on a plaque. A soft chime sounded in her helmet, an official message from the station command. She opened it and blinked in surprise. Request, Nova Reyes. Report to Tactical Research Division. Urgent. Subject, Training Proposition. Rafi's jaw dropped. They want you. Nova stared at the message stunned, a grin slowly spreading. Guess they like chaos after all. She rose, slinging the rifle over her shoulder. The humans around her cheered. The Kethari watched warily. The scoreboard still shimmered overhead, her name on top. Today, she didn't just beat a record. She rewrote expectations. She proved them wrong. And she walked off the platform knowing exactly who she was now. A human. A problem solver. A little bit chaotic. And apparently, the only person on Helios Station who could outsnipe the galaxy's finest. Because sometimes the universe didn't need perfection. Sometimes it just needed a human girl with a good eye, a stubborn streak, and a perfectly timed shot.